Hello and welcome to the Biohacking Beauty Podcast. My guest today is Deanna Pizitz. And what our mission here in Biohacking Beauty Podcast, as part of Young Goose Skincare, the brand, is really to look at other lifestyle choices, habits, products, etc., that would benefit our skin health that are not skincare, because we believe in a holistic approach. So, welcome, Deanna. Please introduce yourself. Tell me a little bit about you and what brings you to talk about the subject like that.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. So I started, well, first of all, I'm 55 years old, and I started Well and Worthy Life. Just really started as a blog. It was just going to be a blog to help, and my mission was to share my experiences to help other women.
Okay.
Because when I was in my 40s, I learned that my passion was to help women. So just a little background, I have 3 sons, 2 brothers. I'm on my 3rd husband.
Wow.
Let's see, I've had 2 fathers. So I have all these men in my life, right? And I
Yep.
needed more women in my life. And I really found my mission and passion of working with women. So I started as a blog. Then it wasn't far into it that I started getting a lot of health and wellness questions about losing weight and things like that. Because before that, I had owned a Pure Barre studio. So I decided to go get my health coaching certification with IIN, Institute of Integrative Nutrition in New York. And so from there, I became more of a health coach rather than just a blogger. And now I have a podcast as well, Well and Worthy Life. And I have just created a new program called Balance. And it's all about helping women in their 40s and 50s to find their purpose, to lose that belly fat, and to age gracefully, to feel their best, and know that the second chapter of their life can even be better than the first.
That is actually, first of all, it's an amazing story, and I am very excited to talk to you about your new program, Balance, because if I could really distill the value I wanted to give uh, in this podcast to the person who is listening to it, is, let's say, is really that balance is how we can talk about strategies to maintain our youth and our health and our vitality for hours. We're not going to have enough time in the day to perform all of these tasks. So finding a balance is kind of the main goal of living healthy, right? So I think your program is amazing.
Yeah, I think, after working with so many different women, I mean, we all want the same thing. We want balance. But what balance looks like to one person may not be the other person. And balance isn't perfection, right? Balance is just finding at this point in your life what is balance for you. And I think that deciding what your goals are and then deciding, okay, how far am I willing to go for this goal to keep the rest of my life in balance?
I understand. And how do you divide it as far as an approach? Do you have different categories like nutrition, exercise? I know you're really
Yes.
big on specific exercise for your age group and etc.
Right. Yeah.
So what are the rubrics that you divided to?
Well, so I think it all first starts with mindset, which people don't even, I think mindset is the key component to anything. And it seems to be something like that people don't think you can really learn, but I think you can learn mindset. And so that's where we start. We start with mindset and really digging into what mindset is. I've developed this MASS method to help people hone in on their goals and decide how they're going to get there. Because if you don't have a plan, you can't get to where you want to go, right? I mean, it's just like if
Right.
I was going to come visit you. Where do you live now? Where are you?
We're in South Florida.
Okay, so if you're in South Florida and I didn't know how, if I didn't have a map to get to you, I couldn't get there, right? I might just drive
Right.
in circles around Birmingham for a while. And I think that's the key. We have to first start with that mindset. And then we move into, from there, we go into talking about nutrition and nourishing our bodies correctly. And if we don't nourish our bodies correctly, I mean, you know, gosh, we're not even going to feel good,
Correct.
much less be able to do anything else. Then from there, we're going to move into hormone health, which is really important as we age. Oh my gosh, you know, perimenopause, menopause, after menopause, all those fun things, which honestly, that could be a whole course in itself. I actually took a 6-month course on it last year, and it's amazing. I mean, when I start trying to pull out the information that I want to share, it's like I said, it could be a whole course in itself. Then we're going to talk about
Definitely.
movement at this stage of our life, because movement and what that looks like. I mean, again, it's so different for everybody. And as we age, we have more aches and pains, and we have to be more careful. Our bones aren't as flexible, you know, just all of our joints. Maybe they are, but maybe we've been more sedentary. Maybe we've been at a desk job for longer than we should be. And then we're going to follow it up with, gosh, probably another one of my more important things is stress management.
Yeah.
Because stress management, and I was even thinking about that with skincare and skin health, that stress on your body can show up in your skin so much, right?
100%. First of all, when you say, I love kind of reminding people that our skin is our largest organ. It is an
Mm-hmm.
organ.
Yep.
And then when we say, you know, blah, 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 our body, we really mean our organs, right? Like the,
Mm-hmm.
the totality of our organs. And the skin is the outer layer of our body. And that is definitely going to react to stress. We also know, by the way, that part of the reason people have gray hair when they're getting stressed out is because of I'm not going to get into it, but it's a depletion of stem cells in our hair. And because stem cells are so popular now in skincare and in the procedures, etc., we can understand how by, you know, elevated levels of stress, we are depleting our body of its vital building blocks that it needs to use to maintain our health.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. I mean, I don't know, like I said, I'm not a science person, so I don't know the science, but I can see it firsthand on people. You
Yeah,
know, you can tell the stress can take its toll on people. You can look at their face and know right away.
yeah,
And you know, environmental stress, but also emotional stress.
yes,
So
100%. Yeah,
yeah. So then at the end of it, so it's a 6 week, at the end, we put it all together. And, you know, I always tell people, like, at the end of the 6 weeks, you're not going to have perfect balance in your life, but you're going to have the steps and the tools to get you there. Most likely from there, and we're going to go into a membership type of monthly thing that will work every month. We'll work on something in particular. We'll have a focus, but I'm really excited. I just released it.
I first of all, I'm really excited to learning more about it, and I really like two things that you said. First of all, is of course by the end of 6 weeks of anything, we're not going to be perfect, right? If that were the case, any degree in the university would just be 6 weeks, and we're good to go. Just perform, you know, as the best practitioner of that discipline. But I remember a coaching course I did probably 20 years ago, maybe even more. And they were talking about developing the framework, the language framework. So if an architect and I or you were to look at a building, the language that we would be using is completely different. We won't be able to even describe what, maybe you would, I would not,
Mhm.
describe what we want. We know what pretty is, but we can't describe what you should do to get there. So developing the framework of language of what we need to do is something that is so overlooked. And then I really, really, really like the idea that obviously membership is important also because when you commit to something on a monthly basis and you do fork out that
Right.
money, you are more committed. But it goes both ways. You also want that person to be committed to you. You want that person where you'd be embarrassed if you didn't do anything that you committed to do, etc. It's super, super important having that person that walks you through a process and coaches you through it.
Well, and the other thing I feel like that is very important is the community aspect of it, because community is so important, right? And
Yeah.
I believe like this age, in fact, it's so funny because I want to study this a little bit more. I keep hearing this invisible women syndrome. I've heard it from some of my clients and I've never heard it before, but I think that as we women age, we do become more invisible.
Mm-hmm.
And not all the time, and I'm not saying it's for everybody, but I think that we may be overlooked a little bit. We may not be as relevant. And so I think it's important for us to understand and be as a community together and be like learn from our younger generation, but know that we have a lot to give back too. Like I said, I think the community aspect and being together with like-minded women going through the same stages in life and having discussions that you wouldn't necessarily have just even with your girlfriend.
You remind me a book called, and also about hormonal health. Have you ever heard about the book Moody Bitches?
No, but I gotta get it.
Listen, the obviously the title is a clickbaity title,
Mhm.
but this is an amazing book described by a physician describing women's health, pre and postmenopausal. Highly recommended. And it's an interesting way to look at the invisible woman syndrome. Maybe it is the realization that you are not a part of whatever community you've just kind of maybe graduated from, right? And I think it's genius to
Mhm.
just say, hey, we're a different community now, and we
Yeah.
should address ourselves as a different community. That's definitely a big part of it. And when we look at blue zones, which blue zones in the world are places where people exceed lifespan, statistically by a certain amount, like Okinawa in Japan or Sardinia in Italy. And what we see there, aside from their eating habits, etc., we do see a very strong sense of community. So even if someone just wants to look better, I do think a community is a big part of it and a very overlooked part of it.
Community and purpose, right? They all have to have
Correct.
they have more purpose too. I
Correct.
love that. I love all those studies. I've read some of those, and I'm like, and that's so true. Because you can get excited about things, and you can, I don't know, it's just really that really excites me, and I think that's what helps me transition to this stage of my life. When I was 43, I think I was 43 or 44, I thought I thought life was kind of over as I knew it. Not over, but I didn't think I could do anything new and different. And I was so, I don't know why I thought that time had kind of passed me by. Some of the
Yeah.
things I had wanted to do when I was younger, I thought it was too late. One of them was lead exercise. I had always wanted to, be a back in the day, the step aerobic teacher, and I was married to a man who was very narcissistic and believed that I should just stay home with the kids, which I loved every minute of that, but I would have loved to have had like a side gig, and so I thought it was too late. And guess what? It wasn't. At 44, I had some young girls encourage me to become a Pure Barre instructor. And then I went on to own my own Pure Barre for about 6 or 7 years. And and then on to this and keep reinventing myself, which I think it's important as we get older to keep changing things up.
Yes. First of all, nowadays, the average the average span of a person staying at the same job on average is like 8 years. Mm-hmm. So if you really want to be truthful with yourself, I don't think you have a choice. You gotta reinvent yourself. It is part of that treadmill of a life we're running on. So that is very important, I think, to realize that it's almost not even your choice. Of course, you always have a choice to sit down in the bleachers and watch life pass you by. But if you want to be an active player, reinventing yourself is part of it, especially now that people do live longer. They can, implement themselves in different aspects. The world is advancing so fast. Keeping up is a part.
Oh, it's so fast. I mean, that's what another friend of mine and I were talking about the other day. Just trying to learn all the Instagram stuff and all the Instagram reels and, everything's changing constantly. But, that's what keeps our mind sharp. And honestly, yes. I believe that's part of the thing that keeps us young and keeps us relevant, and being able to keep up with our grandchildren too.
What is amazing is that obviously when you're learning something new, even if you're realizing something is challenging and you need to learn it, part of the learning process is mild irritation. We gotta address that because it's there. And I'm gonna address it very shortly, but when in a study when people were introduced with a way to stimulate different parts of their brain and different emotions, the emotion that was stimulated the most by choice, even more than orgasm, was mild irritation.
Really?
And the reason is because this is when your brain actually gets the most breakthroughs and gets the most knowledge kind of embedded and saved. So for me, for someone with ADHD and a lot of maybe we'll call them like restricting beliefs about my ability to sit down and learn something. Every time this mild irritation pops up, I remind myself that this is a state of heightened learning. So that's, I think it's very important.
Yeah, I'm a big believer. Again, it all goes back to when I became a Pure Barre instructor. And I remember I was like I said, I was like 44 at the time. And all the girls in our studio were in their 20s. And I went to training with all these girls in their 20s. Even did this with my yoga training also. I went to yoga certification. And everybody's younger. And so I saw it did take me longer to learn. I'm not going to lie. It really did take me longer to learn, but I can learn it.
Yep.
It just takes me a little bit longer. That's okay.
Yeah. And maybe, first of all, we can't ignore the fact that learning does take more time as we grow older, but maybe part of it is because we do have a lot of reference points that we do need to consider. And someone who is younger does not have those reference points. So even if they do know something or they've learned it faster, they might not have the same connotations as you would have when you have more overall experience.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
When you're doing this program, do you address skin health in general? Do you do
No,
any?
I think to me, the only thing I would say that I do believe that there's a couple of factors that I think affect. Now, again, I do not know science. You know all that a lot better than I do, but in my experience, there's a couple of things that I think are important in skin health. And one is hydration. Just like you said, our skin is our largest organ, and water is the number one thing. We have to drink lots of water, and it shows in our skin when we don't. So,
100%.
I think so in that way, I think yes.
Mhm.
But I also think that what we put in our body, again, if we eat crap, if we eat a bunch of sugar and all this stuff, I mean, yeah, it's gonna affect our skin. One
100%.
thing that I've noticed in the last year, I've gone alcohol free. And my skin is better than ever because of that. I've even had people comment about that. I'm not suggesting everybody go alcohol free. It was just for me, it was something I wanted to kind of experiment with. And so I've decided to try it. And because honestly, alcohol was giving me headaches. It affected me differently as I got older. And now I love it. I love the way I feel, but I do love the way my skin looks, because when I was drinking red wine, I'm like, I would get all red right through here, right? It's like not good look.
Yeah.
I was one
Yeah.
of those people, especially the more I drank, the redder my nose would get. So it was awful. But so, those things I think are very important. I think exercise is important for our skin health. I think, all the things that we talk about in balance, like I said, stress is hugely important.
Yes.
But I think another thing that's important, well, a couple other things. And I think some people have good genes. They
Correct.
just have good genes, and no matter what they do, their just skin looks good, whatever. But I think that using sunblock is huge, huge. And I can see that between me and my mother. So my mom was a tennis player, and she never used sunblock. Never, ever, ever. I mean, to her credit, she's not alive anymore, but if she were alive, she would be 80. So she died 5 years ago at 75.
Sorry.
But she from the time, I mean, we didn't even have sunblock when I was little that I remember. And so she started playing tennis at age 30 in Florida. She lived in Florida, and she was out in the sun all the time. I mean, her skin would get so dark. So as she aged, she had a lot more wrinkles. Her skin was tougher. She was still beautiful. She was always beautiful still to me, and I think to everybody, because her personality came out. But she had been a model when she was younger, and I think
Mhm.
that she done that. And the other thing is the only maintenance she did, she never did Botox or, she didn't really. I never remember her really talking about skincare to me. It was my friends that really said to me, you need to think about skincare. It wasn't that I learned it from my mother, but she never did like maintenance. Like I do Botox, a little bit of filler. I do a little bit of maintenance on my skin so that that it doesn't,
Yeah.
look.
Firstly, what arises to me from what you're saying is, I know you've stated that you don't address skincare in your program, but the first thing that we have to realize is that our biological age, so the age that we truly are, not our chronological age, what it says in our ID, but the age that our body is truly is, definitely appears on our skin. There's very strong correlation between the two. So if you're maintaining a healthier body, definitely you're going to have a healthier skin. But really, the same way we won't be able to see another roll of fat immediately after we went out of our McDonald's binge meal, the same way small decisions do add up. It's that McDonald's the next day and the next day and the next day that is going to add up, and you're going to wake up one day without the ability to get out of bed or something like that. So the same way, when you develop a good system of habits or a good way to communicate with yourself and make good choices, that is going to translate to good skin in whichever way you're looking at it. So I do like your approach of maintaining good habits. That is, to me, the number one most important thing in life, to understand that every decision we make, it has a net positive or net negative value. And that's okay. If you're into balance, and which everyone should be, and you calculate it within your balance, fantastic. But recognizing and being cognizant to that is super important.
Right. I totally agree. You know, it's funny because being 55, as I've aged, I'm like, sometimes I'll turn around, I'll see a friend, and I'm like, oh my heavens, what happened? It's because it does sneak up on you if
Yep.
you're not careful. And I do think one of the things, like I said, my mother never introduced me to skincare, but my friends have really played a big role in that. And one friend in particular, Kathy Williamson, who I was telling you earlier, the Middle Page blog, she really was always telling me, you know, eye cream and all that kind of stuff underneath your eyes. And but so I really do believe all these good products and making sure that they are good products, right? Because I think that, and the sunblock, I mean, to me that and it has to be the right sunblock, and you have to reapply it. I mean, all those things play such a huge role in it to me.
Sure.
And the other thing, and I don't know if this plays a big role, I really don't know, but I have always, and I think this probably starts with how you take care of yourself. So overall, I have never, not one time in my life, ever gone to bed with my makeup on. Ever.
Wow.
Ever. But I mean, like, I take care of myself. So I mean, like, why would I not wash my face and take care of myself?
Yes. If I love Abe Lincoln's quote, "An ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure."
Yeah.
I think that is literally what would make or break your skin as you grow older, because what happens to us really is the accumulation of damage in every level. And yeah, we can try and repair that damage. Normally, what we're trying to do is not to equate it to Botox, because Botox obviously doesn't repair any damage. But
Right.
really, what we're trying to do is look at a specific repercussion of damage, and then try to reverse engineer, okay, how do we treat it? How does it look if I didn't have that damage, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And our approach also as a company, but also as a kind of as PSA, is that the damage that has been done is very hard to overturn, and it's better to prevent it in the first place. And that is kind of the approach we took with our product. So what we have a care line, which is our main line. And what is special with that line is not a product that says, you know, let's delete your wrinkles, let's tighten your skin. That is, again, it's going to happen. A small amount of it is going to happen through that. But what we're really trying and doing is preventing damage to the genes that control aging, and repair the mechanism that protects your gene from, or protects your cells from aging in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So exactly like good habits, we're trying to give a product that would treat kind of the all-encompassing cause of aging, which is that accumulation of damage, which again, I think we're in agreement that this is the most important. And I wanted to let you know, whatever you're doing, you should just continue doing that because your skin looks amazing.
Well,
But
thank you.
I assume that again, if we talk about genetics, that was something that you've been fortunate to have all your life, I assume.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, my mother was beautiful. She was a
Yeah.
model, and so I think she did have good skin, even though she didn't take care of it like she should have taken care of it. And I do, like I said, I do try to use very good products because I do think that good products, it's almost like you pay for what you get. I mean, I really do believe that. I believe that you want to make sure it has the right ingredients in it, that you're not putting more toxins in your body, right? Because a lot of the skincare, you have to be very careful because there's a lot of skincare out there that have toxins that, I mean, and in fact, I don't know exactly. You probably know this better than I do, but United States is not regulated very good when it comes to skincare and beauty products.
No, and the way I like to explain it is, first of all, the way that you formulate a product mainly is not, you know what? Let me explain it differently. There was a problem in the United States recently with vaping, right? With vaping products. And the problem was not that an ingredient that we didn't know about was suddenly used or something that, people disregarded the caution from the FDA. What really happened is when you took something from its natural state and you changed it to something else through heat, and then this nice vitamin E that we can apply on our skin and we can ingest became something very harmful because we heated it up and changed it completely. And that is one of the challenges of skincare, is that the fact that we have an ingredient written doesn't mean that we know what someone did to that ingredient. By the way, if we look at a cheap product, we really should be asking the same way we can buy organic meat, which would be beef, right? It's going to be organic, it's going to be grass-fed, it's going to be the best meat. The cow was maybe massaged every day. I don't know what, the best cow in the world. And it can be, I don't want to trash McDonald's too much, but what McDonald's does, or any fast food brand does, which is buy very old cattle just before it dies and uses this meat. So the fact that both of them came from, that they have the same name, doesn't mean they have the same values. And in skincare sourcing, we see the same, where your integrity really plays a role as to where you source your ingredients from. And it's something that is very, very, very tricky to explain to the end consumer. The fact that if it says retinol doesn't mean every retinol is the same.
Right.
So I agree with you. And what is very interesting is that the same way that you can go overboard with in any area in life, workout, you can eat too much of a good food and you're not gonna get good benefits. By the way, olive oil is one of the most interesting aspects of that, where it can be very beneficial, also anti-aging in very low amounts, but in high amounts it's toxic. So the same way, if you were to use a good ingredient for a very long time and you kind of use it too much, it can give you adverse effects. So yeah, you got to keep it in mind and be holistic. So as far as you are concerned, as a person, what do you do on a daily basis to maintain balance, or what are your healthy habits?
Well, first of all, I drink lots of water. I mean, that's like a non-negotiable for me. So I drink, I mean, pretty much the only thing I drink in the day, I drink my coffee in the morning, then I drink water nonstop. So I probably take in, I don't even know how much water, because I love water. Like, I drink so much of it. And then I'll drink green tea or maybe chamomile tea at night. So that to me is, important. The other thing that I feel like I do that starts my day off healthy, because I believe it's how we start our day.
Yeah.
And I have like a morning ritual that I really, I'm big into morning routines. And it doesn't have to be perfect all the time. So it's about getting up, washing my face, brushing my teeth, fixing my coffee, drinking my water, then coming in my office, sitting down, reading a devotional, journaling a little bit, going through some affirmations, visualizations, breathing. And then, most days I like to exercise. I try to get the exercise in first thing in the morning. If I can't do it first thing in the morning, then I definitely try to get in before noon. But that sets my day up, because I'm more apt to make then healthy choices on how I eat and just the way I spend the rest of my day. So I think it all starts in the morning, like your attitude, your mindset, and constantly working on your mindset and being better. I I don't think there's one size fits all. And I think this year has been a very interesting year, right? With COVID and everything.
Yeah.
And so I was one of these people who I found my passion of helping women. Well, as a coach, I spend a lot of time on my phone, right? Texting and checking in and all this stuff. And I would do it at night when my husband was around. And guess what? That wasn't real healthy for my relationship.
Nope.
And remember, I said I'm on my third marriage. We want this one to stick. So it helps me. And then the other thing, that really helps me think, you know what? That's not what I want for my relationships. I wouldn't recommend that to my client. So why would I do that? So finding the balance of work, right? And the other thing is I have a granddaughter and I want to spend time with her. And so again, finding the balance to where I can fit her in during the day so that I'm not working nonstop, and I think that's, so luckily I have a job that I can manage my schedule, but that means I have to be very time efficient, right? And learn to say no to things that I might want to do.
Yes.
But that's going to be meaning that I'm going to have to say no to something else that I really, really want to do.
Yeah.
So I think that's about, creating balance.
So do you adhere? First of all, beautiful. Do you work with a schedule where you schedule things, far ahead, so you can have those windows where you dedicate to something else than work, to your personal life? Or do you just play it by ear and make decisions on the fly? How do you?
No, I plan at least a week in advance. I like to plan further. My husband doesn't like to plan like I do, but I try to explain to him, because he has a family business to where he's got other people running the show when he's not around, right? So we travel, or we used to travel a lot. We don't travel as much, but hopefully one day we will be traveling again like that. But we do have a second home at the beach, and so he'll just want to go there all of a sudden. I'm like, no, I have to plan things out. So, because and so even with my granddaughter, my whole idea was that we would just play it by ear, right? Well, that doesn't work all the time. I know I've had to cancel on you a couple of times because of my granddaughter, because my daughter-in-law's grandmother died, and so I did have to step in. But I really so I've even set with them certain days. Okay, so this is my day with Marlo, and so that I know that I don't plan anything else. This last week week has not gone according to plan because, like I said, the grandmother passed away. And so that's added a whole nother, we've had to change days up and change everything around. But hopefully now we're back on a schedule, because I can't really work if I'm not, I have to, make plans for recording podcast, just all the stuff we have to do as entrepreneurs.
Yeah. I can really relate to your husband. One of my big challenges is scheduling, because for the longest time my philosophy was just go pedal to the metal, just go full throttle all the time, 100% all the time. And then if something's important enough to distract you, it will. And you learn that, first of all, you can burn out, which is not good for balance. And the second thing is you've learned that that's not the best algorithm to prioritizing what's really important.
Mm-hmm.
If I just address whatever's burning right now and go to the next thing, you tend to leave a lot of loose ends,
Mm-hmm.
and you tend to neglect. You're not prioritizing. So definitely that is my challenge day to day. But I can definitely relate to your husband, and I'm jealous of people that are like my significant other, that are very structured and have that innate structure to their life. So
honestly, I'm more of a free for all, like normally, but I've learned being an entrepreneur and to be able to prioritize, to really, and like I said, I've just really started doing that this year. Because it's important. If I want to have my business, it's important to prioritize those things, but I also become very clear. And that's the other thing why I created this program, because I was doing a lot of different things. And I've decided this is my thing. So I won't be doing one-on-one coaching. I won't be doing another program that I was coaching. I want to zero in, and this is my program. And this is where my focus will be when I'm with my clients, because this is what I'm very passionate about. And then I'm going to travel with my husband. We're going to have a blast. And then I'm going to enjoy my granddaughter, and I'm going to enjoy my boys. I have 3 sons, 3 grown sons, and I want to enjoy them as adults,
Yes, I wholeheartedly agree. For me, for example, when I was going through the process of realizing I do have priorities, and again, it's exactly like stopping by McDonald's that first day, the second day, the third day. If I don't build a habit of asking myself, what is my ultimate goal? How does, the thing that I need to address now correlate to my end goal? I have noticed that my choices as far as spending time with the people around me, with my parents, etc., were really suffering beforehand, and it's something that I can't even explain how much value it brought into my life. Really prioritizing family time. So
yeah.
There's nothing.
And the other thing I left out, which I think is just almost as important as everything, is girlfriends. And having my girlfriend time, right? And having friend time. I think that, but that takes work too, right? I mean, all these things take work. It doesn't just happen. And it's those small steps. I always say this when I'm coaching anybody, it's the consistency compounds, just like money in the bank.
Yes, another book which I love, especially to communicate to your subconscious that habits are important, is Atomic Habits.
Yes. Yep. And have you read BJ Fogg's? Oh gosh, I should have. It's Small Habits That Make Big Changes. It's Tiny Habits. It's called Tiny Habits.
No, but I
have to read this. It's so good. That's the one. Like, I love Atomic Habits, but Tiny Habits I think to me is one of the most important things. And in my balance program, one of the things that I want people to do is we're going to talking about in mindset is talking about this morning routine and figuring out what that morning routine is for you and writing out your one goal for the day. Like if you just have to have one goal, like what's that one goal? Because you're going to feel great if you get that one thing done, right? If we feel
Yeah.
good, and it doesn't have to be big. We always think it has to be big, right?
Yeah.
If it's big, then we can celebrate and then we can be good. But we change by feeling good, not by feeling bad.
Yes, by reinforcing those loops of decisions,
Yeah.
100%. Deanna, before we end, it's very important for me that everyone who is listening will now be receiving your information from now on, and do get that drip of Deanna to their subconscious. So where are you most active as far as social media and online goes, and where would you like people to look for you?
So Instagram, you can find me at wellandworthylife.com. That's WELLAND, worthy, WORTHY life.com. Well and Worthy Life on Instagram. And then my website's Well and Worthy Life. And you can put in your email address and then you'll get my weekly emails. I just started a weekly newsletter called The Insider Circle. Also, I do have a podcast called Well and Worthy Life also, and a YouTube channel. All of it's Well and Worthy Life. You can't miss me.
Sound great. So Deanna, I really enjoyed our conversation.
Oh, me
Really
too.
enjoyed. And I think what we can do is kind of revisit that and talk about specific habits, specific things that we can do to improve our life later on and try and build on top of that.
Oh, I think that would be awesome. I would think that'd be really great. And I have really, really enjoyed our conversation too. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much. And I wish you a much better 2021.
It's going to be great.
Yes.
I'm convinced it's going to be great, right?
Yes. I like low expectations. So the bar has been lowered, and we are up for an amazing year, especially if we make those good decisions on a daily and hourly and minute basis.
Exactly.
So thank you again, Deanna.
Thank you.
And have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Take care.